Hey everybody, I'm going to start throwing some decorated feathers at you. Decorated feathers is what I call feather variation. So the first one I'm going to start with is my very favorite, and it's one of the simplest. And now that you've gotten really comfortable with over-the-top feathers, you're probably going to hate me because feather and curl is probably even easier than an over-the-top feather. So let's get started. For step one, you're going to start an out feather, but instead of stopping to touch the previous feather, you create a curl. Really curl the line in on itself. You do not want it to look like a feather that did not stop when it should have. Change directions and either retrace the original curled line as best you can, or offset the return slightly to create the appearance of a ribbon. Stop the retracing at the same point that you stop the retrace of a regular over-the-top feather. Stitch a normal return feather, and then that's it. You just continue on. The nice thing about these is that getting the retrace perfect is not quite as important. You will note that the curl does show up just in every other feather. So that's the feather and curl. And then the next one is what I call rosebuds. For rosebuds, in the first step, you make a regular out feather and retrace the top. For step two, you change direction as if to make a return feather and create a small curl that will fit in the top of the feather. Step three, you echo back to what will be the center of the top of the feather. And then in step four, change direction and stitch the rest of the feather back to the spine. Next up, I will actually draw these on the whiteboard so you can see maybe a little bit more clearly what I'm talking about. The first two feather variations we're talking about this week are feather and curl and rosebud. So for the feather and curl, I'm just going to do a short little segment here. And so for the feather and curl, we start making a regular out feather, but instead of stopping like to do the retrace, I'm going to curl in, and like I said in the before, really make it a curl. Don't just come out and kind of stop, because then it looks like you went too far with the regular feather. It doesn't have this nice curly, lacy appearance. So after you've made the curl, you're going to retrace it, and then it's just back to retracing as if you were doing a regular over-the-top feather, and then make a return feather. And so then again on the other side, I'm going to go out, make a curl, and really curl it in nice and tight, retrace, and return. If you can, do the retrace, and I guess I should say that's a style choice, whether you want to do the retrace as absolutely closely as you can, or whether you want to purposely don't try to retrace and make it more into a ribbon kind of a look. And so that's what the feather and curl is all about. Like I said, just make sure you don't do like a hook. I think those wind up looking kind of awkward, like somebody forgot what they were doing. Now the rosebud is basically, instead of having the curl in the out feather, we're going to put the curl into the return feather. So we make an out feather, we retrace, and then stop at the point at which you would make your return feather. Start to make that shape, but then go ahead and create a curl right there. And again, make sure that you really curl in, really spiral in. Don't just kind of do a little hook and then finish. And so then you're going to retrace back to what is basically the center. So if that's like a clock, that'd be 12 o'clock. And then continue down around and finish the shape. So I'll do it again on the other side. Make an out feather, retrace, spiral in, spiral back out, and close the shape up. I find that when I do these, that rosebuddy kind of feather tends to get a little bit fatter than the the out feather, or than I would like if I were doing these as regular return feathers. And so that's why I think it looks like a rosebud. That's why I called it that. So you really want to spiral in and give it that curled up rosebud kind of a shape. And so, whoops, that was a really bad retrace. And so that is what the rosebud is all about. The last thing I'm going to do here is real quick show you that we can combine these two. So I could come out and make a curl, and I could come back, and then I could go right on into making the curl. Oh, actually that's different. Huh. So this is what Renee was doing in the video that she shared with us today. And it just now occurred to me that what she was doing was a little bit different than what I was doing. So again, so there's the feather and curl. What she was doing was spinning back this direction to create the curl in the top of her every other feather. If we were to combine the feather and curl, we'd make a curl, we'd stop and then change direction and make the curl that way. So that's two kind of options there, and you just have to kind of play with what feels comfortable to you and what the look it is that you're going for would be. So there you go. Actually, I'm going to do that one more time just to clarify the difference between what I was doing and what Renee did in her video. So what Renee did was she had her spine. She went out and made a curl, and then instead of stopping and changing direction, she kind of did basically she did an S. Am I right? Yes. And then she retraced it back to this point and then finished the feather. So I'll do that again. She made a curl, kind of made an S here, retraced, and then got back to the spine. So that's how Renee did her variation. I'll come over here and do my variation one more time, and this is a combination of the feather and curl and the rosebud. So it was out with a curl, and then stop and actually change direction and finish the shape. Stop, change direction to make the curl, and finish the shape. So there you go. Two different ways to accomplish something kind of fun. The next video is going to be me talking a little bit about the two block designs that I shared with you in your PDF, but I'll do that as a separate video.